Some of you may be confused by the ending of Lorraine's story in Atomic Blonde. The twist kind of felt like it came out of nowhere because there were some pretty crucial hints throughout the film that were pretty easy to miss. And I'm here to explain and add some clarity to this ending. And there are spoilers added, so if you haven't seen Atomic Blonde, go see it and then come back and then watch this video. Let's start from the beginning. It's mentioned that Agent Lorraine Broughton is the crown jewel of Her Majesty's Secret Intelligence Service and an essential part to MI6, the foreign intelligence agency of the British government. At the time of the Cold War, she is sent into Berlin by MI6 to try to recover a missing list that contains the names of all the double agents. She partners up with Station Chief David Percival to get her through what is referred to as the game of spies. This movie is mainly told through flashbacks when sitting in a debriefing room with Eric Gray and Emmett Kurzfeld. One of the most important questions that comes up when watching this is who is Satchel? Simply put, Lorraine is Satchel. She is an American agent pretending to be a British agent for MI6, working for MI6 to get closer to the Soviets and act as a double agent for the Russians, all while she delivers the Russians bad intel and sending the good intel from the Russians back to the US as the British are clueless. Hopefully that's kind of making sense so far. Let me explain further. There are subtle hints that reveal that she was an American throughout the film, one of them being in the scene where Emmett, her connection with the CIA, hands her a newspaper. In the newspaper there is a number that she dials, which is a 212 number, and that's a New York City area code. In the conversation between Lorraine and Emmett, he mentions that she should get back to Langley, as in Langley, Virginia, where the CIA headquarters are located. If you pay close attention to this conversation, you can hear her English accent keep slipping as her American one starts to come out. She even says it would be good to go back home in her American accent, which I thought was a nice touch. This conversation was mainly held to warn her that Satchel has been compromised. Her contact Merkel, the one who bailed her out of East Berlin and distributed fake passports, was also part of the CIA. He also must have planted the gun in the icebox in the hotel room at the end of the film. Lorraine's role in the CIA wasn't going against the MI6. MI6 was just a convenient thing to take off the heat of American agents to keep their resources clean during this time period. That way, if the Russians figured out who the spy's identity was, it would lead back to MI6 instead of the CIA. So all along, she was acting as a triple agent. What about Percival? Percival was a double agent with the Soviets, whose spyglass shouldn't have gone to with the list. Gascoigne came into possession of the list from Spyglass. His intent was to give it to the Soviets, but was tracked down by a Russian who went rogue at the beginning. The rogue Russian was wanting to sell it to potential buyers, shedding light on the scene where that Russian tries to sell the watch to Lorraine's watchmaker contact. So when Gascoigne failed to deliver the list to Percival, Spyglass says that he memorized the entire list to make him essential, but while also putting a huge target on his forehead. Lorraine gets tied up with Percival when MI6 wants the list as well. They send Lorraine into Berlin to try and obtain the list while figuring out who Satchel is. However, one mission is already over as Lorraine is Satchel. Percival assumes that Lorraine is MI6 delivering bad information to the Russians, when she was a triple agent working primarily for the CIA and she was handing the Soviets faulty intelligence the entire time. When Percival kills the rogue Russian trying to sell the watch, Percival then obtains the list. This is why he shoots Spyglass, because at this point Spyglass is just a loose end. But when he was viewing the list, he discovers that Lorraine is indeed Satchel. And Percival's plan then goes from selling the list to the Russians to also turning in Satchel, as in Lorraine, to the British. So he does not return to them empty-handed when giving the list to the KGB. Delphine finds out about this and tries to warn Lorraine. So after Percival and the Russian/KGB take out Spyglass, there is one more loose end, and that is to take care of Delphine. However, thanks to Delphine's photos of Percival making the deal with the KGB and the wire planted on him, Lorraine was able to edit an audio tape to make it sound as if Percival was Satchel, as the photos were the final touch. When presenting the information to the British in the debriefing room, she is turning Percival in as her fall man, framing Percival as Satchel. So she fabricated the story, and what you witnessed with her finally getting Satchel was a lie because Percival wasn't. In the end, when Lorraine finally meets with the KGB officer, who at this point clearly knows that she is Satchel, she then kills him and the other men to tie up her loose ends. She then hands over the watch with the list on it over to the CIA and returns home with Emmett, as they just fooled the British intelligence agency during the entire debriefing and into throwing out the case, while also getting rewarded with commendations and a personal thanks from the Queen. Hopefully that was simply put. If you guys like this explanation video, please subscribe to see more like it, and comment below if you are also blown away by that tracking shot shot during the fight scene in the staircase. And I will see you guys in my next explanation video.